Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Boomer Deepcuts. My name's Grant Hansen. I am the executive producer here at Performance Podcasts, and I'm pleased to welcome in, for the first time on Boomer Deepcuts, Jack Swanda, host of The Drive Home from 3 to 6 on Boomer.
Thank you, Grant. A pleasure to be here in your domain. You've stepped into mine a few times, and I hope I'm as comfortable here as you are in my domain. And I do. I feel quite comfortable. You've done a good job.
Well, folks, if you're not familiar with the drill here on Deep Cuts, each week we take an album from the 60s or 70s. I think up to 82 is kind of our top end limit. And we break it down. We talk about songs. We talk about what was going on at the time, what was going on in the lives of our guests, like Jack Swanda. You'll hear a little bit about that today when we do our album, CTA, Chicago Transit Authority, the first album for the band Chicago, which at the time when this was released was still called Chicago Transit Authority, but we'll get into that. Jack, why'd you pick this album for your first one?
Well, I love horn bands. I love horn bands. You know, there's Lighthouse, there's Blood, Sweat, and Tears, Bill Chase, and a couple of others, and I guess maybe just horns in general because I'm a big fan of Maynard Ferguson too, and I think that's why I had a chance to MC the Nebraska Music Hall of Fame induction ceremony, and there's a couple of great horn bands now around the area. There's and playing at Boomstock last year was Soul Dog, a great horn band, and then Travis went into the Nebraska Music Hall of Fame, and there are a bunch of South High kids in high school that the music director put together back in the very early 70s, and they're still playing. But a great horn band. So yeah, I think that's what attracted me to Chicago.
This is special. This album is special because it's really sort of one of the first brass rock albums, or really like this. It's almost like it's creation of its own genre, right?
Yeah, rock and roll with horns. Yeah,
and I think I haven't heard actually any of the songs on this album more than maybe one time, and I like Chicago. My favorite teacher in school, who will remain nameless, but we come into his room every morning. He'd get there at like 6 a.m. to start grading, but we'd come in before school and he would have Chicago going every morning, every morning. And it's I love the sound. It's so different than pretty much anything else. I mean, was there anything at the time that was like this?
You know, you maybe the early Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this album, Chicago Transit Authority, was released April 28th, 1969. By the way, before I go any further, folks, please, if you like the show, like our episode here on YouTube, subscribe to us on our Performance Podcast YouTube page. And if you want to be a part of the show or want your comments known, you can comment in the YouTube comment section, or you can email us at deepcuts@myboomerradio.com. Once again, deepcuts@myboomerradio.com. But CTA, 28th of April, 1969. It was Columbia Records' first studio album, of course, for Chicago. Reached number 17 on the Billboard 200 by 1971 and stayed on the chart for 171 weeks, which I believe was a record at that time. Double platinum, nominated for a Grammy in 1969, Best Artist, New Artist. And then album went into the Grammy Hall of Fame in 2014. And this year, which is a great time to pick this album, by the way, Jack, but this year it was added to the National Recording Registry and the National Archive.
Yes.
So, man, this thing has a huge place in the history of rock and roll.
It does. And I think one of the, there's a couple of really unique things about the album. It was Chicago's first album that came out. They came together in 1967 as The Big Thing. And that's when the original founders all came together. Peter Cetera was kind of a late addition because they needed a tenor voice to go with the big bass and baritones that they had with Terry Kath and slips my mind the other one. But when they put this album out, it was a double album, right? Which for an initial release for a group to do a double album, that was very unusual.
Why?
Well, I think probably the expense of putting it together, the record companies didn't know if
it's a significant investment from them.
If it had legs,
right?
So they usually just tried to keep it as simple as they could for that initial release. But they had a double album, yeah.
One thing I found was FM radio and its album-oriented format really helped push the sales for CTA. Do you know any thoughts on that or why that might have been?
Well, I think maybe some of the songs were longer.
Right.
If you're playing it right off the album, I'm a Man, one of the cuts we're going to talk about, over 7 minutes long.
And that's, most things around this time were what, about 3:30?
Yeah, 3.5.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, another thing we like to do on Deep Cuts, we like to talk about, kind of give you an idea of how this is consumed today, as best we can. It's not an exact science, but we use Spotify downloads to tell you, okay, how many times, what are the top songs? So this album has been heard 44 million times on Spotify. Beginnings is the most listened to track. We'll hear that. In fact, we'll hear all three of these to some extent today. 12 million times. At number 2 is I'm a Man, 8 million times, a little 8.5 million. 67, question 67 and 68 is the third most listened to track on this album, about 7 million there. So that is interesting to me too, because the way this has progressed, like some of the albums we've already done here on Deep Cuts, have way more, like 900 million or 1.1 billion. For whatever reason, it doesn't seem like this album has caught on as much with people that are in my generation. I'm not sure why that is, if it's because of people just not being as familiar with brass rock, but it is a really cool thing. As someone who, again, was listening to a lot of these songs for the first time.
Well, it takes in classical music and jazz. The music is sophisticated.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that your generation is simple. I didn't mean that, but
it is that type of thing.
It is very sophisticated, yeah.
Which, I was in jazz band in high school, so that's probably part of where some of my interest and appreciation of it comes from. But I really love this album. Where were you? 1969.
1969. I was in 7th grade at Charles Culler Junior High.
Okay.
And a big Husker fan. Husker fan. So I was cheering the Huskers on.
What did that feed to, that middle school?
Charles Culler, it was split. Half of us went to Lincoln Northeast.
Okay.
And the other half went to East High.
And that makes sense. Lincoln Huskers, Omaha Huskers make sense too. But Lincoln, you were really in the thick of it, and at the height of its growth and escalation as it kind of led into the national title years, first two in 70, 71.
That's right. That was 69 was the year leading into that. They started out the year, they ended 68 with a terrible loss to Oklahoma. They just got thumped in Memorial Stadium. Then you get to 69 and they open the season with a loss to USC. And they have the Big 8 opener against Missouri, and they lose there. So they're 2-2.
People started to murmur.
They're 2-2, and they did not lose again for a very long time after that. And they just, that's when things really took off for them.
That was Tom Osborne's first year as the offensive coordinator.
Yes.
Introduced the I formation that year. There's a lot of stuff that happened in 1969. We'll get into more of that sort of stuff later. But that was very formative for you, along with, was this album, did you hear this album for the first time in 69 or was it later?
There were some neighbors that were, they had they're older boys.
Okay.
The youngest one of the three was my age. And, they had a ton of records, and that was one of them. And so when we were in the basement playing ping pong, or
you put that on,
they'd put that on. It's like, man, listen to that. I love that. And another thing that caught my ear to this, Grant, that got me, that is, I wasn't just a Husker fan. I was also just a sports fan in general.
Sure.
Went to all the high school games around, and I was a Northeast fan. Northeast basketball was legendary with Ed Johnson as the head coach, and the pep bands. The pep bands were always great. Lincoln always had great pep bands. Lincoln Southeast Pep Band is just legendary. And so you hear all this brass in these pep bands, and I think that's when I Ides of March and Vehicle, and
that was exactly where my head went.
And if a pep band is worth its salt at all, it's playing that kind of stuff. And I had mentioned earlier the South Omaha band Travis. And that's kind of how they got started with all that brass. So my ear just loved it.
I'm so glad you brought. I love Vehicle. That was on our pep band chart list as well.
Yes.
we're all right. I don't know if we did it justice, but I love that one. And that is where a lot of this Chicago and some of this brass rock, that's where it's lived. In terms of consistent public is in these pep bands and some of the places that play regularly. All right.
So I guess that's where my interest first was piqued with it.
Well, why don't we hop in?
Absolutely.
What better place to start than the introduction, first track on the album?
Yeah, it is the first track on the album, and it's you think you'd have the first track on the album maybe be something that is really just going to be something that could be released as a single, you know, and immediately come into commercial success, but it's not. And I love the way it starts. It's kind of got this. Well, here, check it out. Listen to this.
Here we go.
It's got the horns right away.
Yes.
And then you got to get the bass beat coming in. And if you're listening to this when you're driving, all of a sudden you're going 90 miles an hour. Here you go. And the vocal's great too.
Yeah, it's such a great welcome to the album. Great start. I love that track.
That's Terry Kath there. Yeah.
Good stuff there. And then, all right, now we move on. So we had that great introduction. I love that song. There's a lot of, again, that's a huge difference, right? Like between a lot of the pop of the time, right? These songs are 5.5, 6 minutes long. But it also is pretty reflective of the merger of rock and jazz, which is what this is.
Right.
Right? Because you have improv and you have all these things that are different. In jazz, it's obviously far different from rock, and then you bring the two together, you're going to have things that are going to be longer. One of the top singles on this album, or ended up becoming that. Does anyone really know what time it is? That's cut 2. First song that the band recorded together was this one here. And then,
wow, I did not know that.
Yeah,
this was the first song they recorded together for the album. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Yeah, isn't it?
As I was walking down the street
One day.
And then you get that little horn descending there.
Yeah.
came up to me and asked me what the time was that
I think most people know this part, I think.
Yeah.
I said,
And it just builds. I love that too. They do this several times.
does anybody really know what time it is?
The backing vocals, those are great.
Just listen to the layers.
Yes.
Time enough to cry.
Yeah, this is amazing. It's just so good. The music is fantastic. So it wasn't released as a single until 1970,
Right.
which is well after the second album was already put out.
Yeah,
at this point in time.
they started to get some traction, so they went back and re-released some of these.
Yeah. Okay, beginnings.
Yeah. Oh, one
This is
other
another-
thought.
oh, yeah,
Does
go ahead,
anybody
go ahead.
really know what time it is?
Yeah.
I mean, think of the time. Anybody really want to know? Anybody really know what time it is? You're looking at your wristwatch.
Right. Right. And that's I
and
totally
now
thought of
it's-
that.
And now it's like, okay, let me get my phone out. and
It's
see
like
what-
it's like calculator, right? Like if you were in high school, at least in my generation, a lot of time, even in junior high, they're like, well, nobody ever is going to carry a calculator around in your pocket all the time.
Yeah.
And now we do.
Yeah.
And our credit cards and everything.
Yeah.
So really different. And I think that has a nice added layer of context to it. Now thinking back to back then, it's like if you didn't have a watch, you were walking around, you didn't really know what time it was.
You did not know.
Hey folks, while we had a break in the action, Grant Hansen here on Boomer Deepcuts, and I wanted to give you a word from our sponsor, Kohl's Pharmacy and Home Care. Now folks, you have trusted Kohl's with your pharmaceuticals since 1948. They have taken care of you and your family undoubtedly for generations. And did you know they can make your home a safer place to live as well? From chair lifts to ramps, walk-in tubs, and showers, even in-home elevators, they can do a ton for you to make your home a safer place to live with the safety, style, and value that you've come to associate with the Kohl's brand. 402-408-1990, 402-408-1990. That's the number to contact them. You can also visit them on the web. Do your online purchasing there. You can get everything that you would normally get from any of the 3 locations for Kohl's Pharmacy here in Omaha, plus one in Lincoln. You can find all those sorts of things and products online as well. So go online and look up Kohl's Pharmacy and Home Care. They'll get you taken care of. Again, Kohl's Pharmacy and Home Care, safe at home. Beginnings. This is another great one here. Nick, go ahead.
This is just classic. I think.
Yeah.
Oh, let the beginning
Oh, I love the trumpet here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know, this song was number 1 on the easy listening charts.
I could understand that.
Yeah.
I could sit there and listen to the song over and over and over and over.
This is another one that was re-released. And it was actually, when it was released on the single, it was a B-side of Color My World.
Which was on this, is that the second album, Color
Yes,
My World?
yes,
Yes,
second
okay, that's what I
album,
thought.
right.
Yeah, crazy stuff. I think I love this album because of the fact that there's so much great music on here that people also sort of just rediscovered as they again got to get traction and became more famous. Let's see, 67 and 68.
Yeah, Questions, 67 and 68. Yeah.
First single, 1969.
Yep.
I love the build. Like, you just only get that in brass and jazz, that build up, like leading to something.
And listen to Peter Cetera. It's just classic Peter.
It's such a good, it's so good. It's so different than anything else. And when you get the call and response too, right? Like, that's what I love about jazz is, you know, this one section offers up something, and then you got the response coming from saxophones, and then the trumpets come over the top, and maybe there's, you know, so you get that, but with rock. And that's really cool.
Yeah, that's interesting. Call and response. I hadn't heard that before. I don't have any musical training or background at all, other than just with my ears.
can hear
So
it, though.
that's interesting. And I always kind of think of that as almost like layering as the layers come in. But I like that call and response. I've learned something from Grant today.
Oh, look at that. It's about a relationship heading south.
Yes.
And then the title refers to 1967 and 1968 when that actual relationship had taken place.
Right. Right.
So
written by Robert Lamb. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, it's I love, like I said, like you can just feel whether it's a driving beat or the brass or whatever, like it is pushing towards something.
Yes.
Whatever that's going to be. And it's so well composed. And again, I hate to be beating the same drum over and over and over again, but it is just different. It is just so different from everything else going on at that time and really right now, I think. And so it's something I love. And I mean, last one here was I'm a Man.
Oh, this is such a great song. This cooks. This cooks. And this is a cover, the original done by Spencer Davis Group.
Is there that driving?
Oh, yeah.
Does it drive that much in the original?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Spencer Davis Group. Steve Winwood co-wrote it.
Just, again, you have that churning going on there too.
You know, and if you have a chance to watch the video of this in concert, there's a live version of this that's out there. And it just leaves you breathless. And I want to say, let me see here. I want to make sure I get the name right. It's Terry Kath. Terry Kath doing the lead vocal on it. And the guitar, some of the guitar in it is spectacular.
Now, this won't be the last Chicago album we do on this show, hopefully. But I think we don't have to go too far into this if we don't want to detour this far. But doesn't Kath and Cetera, like later on, that kind of becomes, those two is like, are you a Kath Chicago fan or are you a Cetera?
People had their favorites. Yeah,
Okay.
like with any group, you know, did you like Paul better or John?
Sure.
You know, or George. Yeah. So I do want to point out one thing that came from Walt Parazater. He was one of the founding members, and he said, this is what Jimi Hendrix told him when he first heard Chicago. Because Chicago opened for Jimi Hendrix early on. When they first went to L.A., they opened for, I believe, I want to say Janis Joplin.
Okay.
And Jimi Hendrix. And Jimi Hendrix says to him, geez, your horn players are like one set of lungs and your guitar player is better than me.
That's crazy.
That's coming. And thank you, Wikipedia, for that. But yeah, that's coming from Jimi Hendrix. So and he was talking about Terry Kath. So
that's another great way to describe it too. We talk about like call and response. Like any great band is going to be like a body, right? Which is why I think we like music.
Yeah.
Is when you have 5 or however many different individuals all acting as one collective body. But there's another layer to that here, especially when you continue to add on instruments and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Even with Beach Boys and Pet Sounds with Chuck Yates, and we had just discussed that album recently. If you haven't seen that episode, check it out. But again, like that's another similar thing where you have 16 some odd instruments taking part in the creation of a single. And that is, when that all comes together, that's really special.
That's magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And part of the magic of the era in a lot of ways. So, all right, now one of the things we like talking about here on this show is what was going on at the time. So April 1969, we touched on it a little bit.
A little bit with the Huskers, and the local flair. But man, that was a tumultuous time.
Yeah. Well, and the 60s were crazy. We'll see what happens when we do some of the albums from the 70s. I'm sure we'll find something. But there's all sorts of stuff going on here. You talked about being a sports fan. I got some things noted down. Let's see. 4 Major League Baseball teams all debuted this month, April of 1969. Let's see. Can you guess any of them?
Well, the Kansas City Royals, I know.
Okay. That's one.
That's one. I want Seattle Mariners, were they one, or Milwaukee Brewers?
Technically.
Okay.
Because they were the Seattle Pilots.
That's right.
And then they went bankrupt that year and then went to Milwaukee and became the Brewers.
Okay. All
so
right.
you got 2. There's 2 more floating out there.
Padres?
Yes.
San Diego?
Yep. And then last one.
Oh, boy. I've drawn a blank.
Montreal Expos.
Oh, yes. Okay.
So it was the first time there had been a professional franchise and I guess a United States sports league that was outside the United States. And then the Expos, or let's see, all 4 of those teams, what made it special was all 4 of those teams won their opener, which has not happened since. Well, there's not many opportunities for it to happen again.
But that is unusual.
But yes. All right, what else is going on? Harvard University, their admin building was seized by about 300 students during this month. One of them was Chris Wallace, who ended up being on Fox News and CNN, and he actually filed a report for the campus radio station from a jail cell because he was part of the group that got arrested. When the
he was always kind of radical, Chris Wallace, yeah.
Apollo 12. They announced the manned mission, the second manned mission to the moon, and they announced the crew for Apollo 12. So this is interesting too because this is the tail end of the space. I mean, the space race had been won, but was it kind of fading out at that point, or what do you remember?
Not yet. No, it was still a significant event. The launches. Everybody watched the launches, and then a chance to actually see the moon landing. I mean, that didn't really wear off till later in the 70s.
And that's another thing too. There's not really a comparison for my generation, or really even my parents' generation, for what that was like. The entire nation gathered around to watch something like that.
It's a unifying event, and there aren't. You're right. There are not very many unifying events anymore, because and we won't get into the politics or any of this. Sure. But we're just not unified as a country. We don't have any common beliefs anymore.
Yeah.
But that's another podcast. So okay.
Okay. What else was going on here? Speaking of TVs, the United States government urged
stay away
Americans who had color televisions to be at least 6 feet away when they're watching TV.
Yes. 4 cubits. Gotta stay back.
What was that about?
Radiation.
Really?
Yeah. They think that the tubes weren't as shielded as they are now. Now, whether that was really the case or not, I don't know. Maybe somebody went up there with one of those Geiger counter things and went, and it's okay. We've got to keep the kids away.
Do you remember anything about that? Mom urging you to, all right, back up, or
Well, no, because she was up there so close we couldn't get past her.
Well, it's funny that again that news item is really funny now compared to really put it in perspective with how we operate in this era where, I mean, everybody's working, you're 2 feet away from a screen pretty much all day.
Yes, all day.
For
Yeah.
8 hours for most people when you're working. So totally
That
different.
might explain some things.
Yeah, maybe. John Lennon, he changed his middle name from Winston to Ono this month.
Yeah. I didn't recall that, but
That is also another thing that's, the Beatles is another sort of unifying event, maybe even on as big of a scale as the space race.
right.
Because people cared about what John Lennon's middle name was. That's another thing that, again, pretty different really from now. I can't think of much that's much different than that. All right, Oscars. Best actor that year, Cliff Robertson in Charlie. Let's see.
Yeah, I missed that one.
Actually, check that. Reverse it. That was the year before. So actually, this is technically 1969 Oscars for the 1968 movies.
There you go. Okay.
So Cliff Robertson in Charlie. Best actress was Barbara Streisand for Funny Girl. And then the best picture was Oliver, which was the adaptation of the Oliver Twist musical.
Wasn't the prime of Miss Jean Brodie about that time, somewhere in there?
Let's see. I'm the wrong guy to be asking
Okay,
about that.
okay. All right.
It's possible. Best actor for the actual 1970 Oscars for movies that came out in 1969. So best actor was John Wayne in True Grit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's a classic.
That movie is really long, but really good. And I think it kind of fits into John Wayne's career. The character he was playing in True Grit was very much the stage of a lawman or an Old West gunman's career was kind of where John Wayne was at in the stage of his career too. So the parallels there really add something to that.
Right. Yeah.
Great movie. The remake was really good too. Did you see the remake?
I didn't see the remake. No.
You'll have to see that at some point. That one was also really good. It holds up. Let's see. Love Bug ended up being the highest grossing film by rental that year. Talk
Bug.
about something that does not happen anymore.
I didn't even know they rented movies then.
I guess.
That year?
Yeah, that's crazy. I was surprised by that.
I'm not sure we had a format to rent them on.
And I'm trying to think of how you would
The
even
VHS
do
didn't
that.
come later. I think maybe it was the highest. When they had movie rentals, people went back and rented that one.
That might make sense.
Because there was nothing.
Because there was something, I don't know if you were renting out movie theaters or what that could possibly be.
Yeah.
Let's see. Support Your Local Sheriff was also one of the top box office films of April of 1969, along with The Love Bug.
Okay.
So let's see. Top rated TV shows. Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In.
Laugh-In was great.
What was that show about?
Oh, it was just this entourage of characters, and it was very slapstick and just moved very quickly and just a bunch of one-liners. It was great.
And then Gunsmoke and Bonanza right there with them.
Those two Sunday night, 8:00. You had to watch Bonanza on NBC.
They weren't back to back. Were they?
No,
they were competing networks.
Gunsmoke was
CBS, and Bonanza was NBC.
NBC, right?
And I love watching some of those back too.
Oh
on
yeah,
ETV and
Little
some
Joe
of those,
and Ben and Adam.
Good shows.
Hoss,
Good times.
Hoss was my favorite.
Well, let's see. Last couple of notes here. Paul Rudd, he was born April 6th, 1969. And then Cory Booker, U.S. Senator, was April 27th. So those are the only two notable birthdays of April of 69. So that's going to do it. That's going to do it for us. We're at the end of our time. It's flown by.
Yeah.
We're talking about April of 69 and the Chicago Transit Authority album.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts, Jack?
I want to do this again sometime.
Let's do it.
All right.
Let's do it. I don't know where we'll go next, what album we'll do, but it'll be fun. Maybe it'll be Chicago again. Who knows? But again, thanks for watching, folks. If you like the show, make sure to give us a like on YouTube, subscribe to the Performance Podcast page. And then if you want to reach out to us, if you want to get involved with the show, share your comments. We could read your comments on the show. That would be a lot of fun. You can, of course, comment on our YouTube page, but you can also email us at deepcuts@myboomerradio.com. Again, folks, we'll be back soon with another episode of Boomer Deep Cuts. For Jack Swanda, I'm Grant Hansen. And now, folks, we have a saying here at Boomer. But Jack Swanda, what are you gonna do now?
I'm gonna keep booming, my friend.